the top stories. Honorable Vance Amri leads St. Kitts and Nevis' delegation to the 12th meeting of the Council of Defense Ministers of the Americas. Hurricane Nicole threatens Bermuda, and hospitals in Nigeria struggle to cope with malaria outbreak. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, the 13th of October 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, Honorable Vance Amri, Premier of Nevis and a senior minister in the federal cabinet, led the St. Kitts and Nevis delegation to the 12th meeting of the Council of Defense Ministers of the Caribbean 12th CDMA, which took place in Trinidad and Tobago from the 10th to the 12th of October 2016. Premier Amri deputized for Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, who is the substantive Minister of National Security and therefore Defense Minister for St. Kitts and Nevis. The 12th CDMA was held under the theme Security and Defense of the Americas in a Changing International Environment, the Evolving Role of the Armed Forces. The general theme was discussed on the three thematic axes, which were chosen to reflect the realities of the changing defense and security climate in this hemisphere. In his address to the delegates and observers at the 12th CDMA, Premier Amri presented a St. Kitts and Nevis perspective on the three thematic axes and outlined the role that the CDMA can play in improving peace and stability in member countries. The main output from the 12th CDMA is to be labeled the Declaration of Port of Spain, in which ministers and heads of delegations commit to full cooperation in the implementation of agreed recommendations, mechanisms for partnership and cooperation, and plans emerging primarily from the deliberations of the three thematic axes, as well as the amendments to the CDMA regulations. The other members of the delegation were Mr. Osmond Petty, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of National Security, and Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Wallace, Commander of the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force. As the fourth quarter, October to December, is a period of great anticipation for many local businesses and is often what makes the difference between a good or a great year, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is warning that it is also a period of increased activity for would-be robbers, burglars, and shoplifters. Head of the Criminal Investigations Department, Inspector James Francis, is asking business owners to be proactive about security in order to reduce risk. Underscoring this, Inspector Francis said it is recommended that businesses review their internal security plan for the prevention of robbery, burglary, and shoplifting. The CID head also noted that the increased shopping period is a time of increased credit card fraud and said businesses can do their part to prevent this by ensuring proper identification is presented with each purchase. The head of the Criminal Investigations Department said, "We want our businesses to enjoy the upcoming shopping season. We want them to be safe, and so our investigators are available to brief businesses and their staff on how to reduce risk with regards to robbery, burglary, shoplifting, and credit card fraud." Francis said all the businesses has to do is call us at 465-2241, extension 4236, and we will be there. This is something that can be done in 30 minutes. Before or after you open, I strongly encourage business owners to take advantage of our security briefing. Inspector Francis also added businesses should be alert of activity around their establishments and encourage them to report suspicious activity by calling any police station or Crime Stoppers, the anonymous hotline at 1-800-8477. The St. Kitts and Nevis Postal Services, in collaboration with the Leaders of Tomorrow Foundation, made a significant donation to the St. Christopher's Children's Home on Thursday. Postmaster General Dario Gill made the presentation to the Children's Home on behalf of the Postal Services.
As part of our activities celebrating World Post Day, we are making a very small but beneficial contribution to the St. Christopher's Children's Home for the children that resides here. I would also like to recognize the Leaders of Tomorrow Foundation based in Tabernacle, who procured the clothing we have here, the school supplies, and Natalie Gibson, who is the president of that organization.
Shanisma James, administrative assistant at the St. Christopher's Children's Home, thanked those representing the General Post Office for the contribution.
On behalf of the children and staff at the St. Christopher's Children's Home, we would like to say thank you to the leaders of tomorrow and the post office for their generous donation. Thank you so much.
The donation of clothing, shoes, school supplies and candy forms part of the General Post Office's week of activities to commemorate World Post Day.
We are 100 feet up in the air.
Whoa, monkey platter. You know the way.
The donkey want water. Bring back your daughter. Bring back your water.
I think the next generation is a great motivator.
I'm not done yet. You know, I'm far from done.
Up and out, please bring your chest. Bring your chest. Bring your chest. Man down.
Let me go!
Yo, this is Shaggy, and you're watching the Tony Thorne Show. Yeah, #1, Mr. Lover says so. All right.
Tune in.
Yes, we infecting more.
Hi, I'm Carla Berridge. Join me weekdays at 7 p.m. for Zeliza's evening newscast. We'll let you know what's happening in your community.
And on the regional scene, an extremely dangerous hurricane is approaching the island of Bermuda in the Atlantic Ocean. Weather forecasters are warning. Hurricane Nicole has strengthened into a Category 4 storm with winds of more than 130 miles per hour. It is expected to hit Bermuda later on Thursday. Officials on the island have urged people to remain indoors. Last week, Hurricane Matthew devastated parts of Haiti, killing hundreds of people. The U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, said that on its forecast track, the core of Nicole would pass near Bermuda. It also said that while the hurricane was expected to weaken slightly, it was still, quote, expected to be at major hurricane strength when it reaches Bermuda. The NHC has also warned of large and destructive waves. Schools and government offices will remain closed on Thursday, and quite a number of airlines have already cancelled flights to Bermuda. In Guyana, night spot owners are crying foul over random police searches. Police A Division Commander Clifton Hicken says the business owners were forewarned and should not be, quote, frowning. Travis Chase has the details.
Several night spot owners, particularly in the Police A Division, have begun to express disgust at the way police in that division are carrying out periodic searches of patrons at their night spots. The owners told the Nightly News that random searches at night spots have resulted in diminishing patronage. But the man spearheading the random searches, Assistant Police Commissioner Clifton Hicken, says there is no need to frown since the night spot owners were forewarned of the regular searches. The commander said some bars are in the practice of going beyond the 2 a.m. curfew, and this must cease. He said the random searches of the night spots have netted at least 5 illegal guns. Just Saturday night last, police moved into Palm Court where they arrested a man who had an illegal .38 weapon in his possession. He's being processed for court. Another man was carrying a Glock-type weapon. His gun was seized since he did not renew his gun license. The commander maintained that most of the searches are being carried out based on intelligence gathered and execution of search warrants. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
And on the international scene, hospitals in Nigeria's second-largest city, Kano, are struggling to cope following a malaria outbreak. Poor sanitation is being blamed for creating breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from Kano.
The past 3 weeks have been agonizing for Alawiya Muhammad. The widow and mother of 8 saw all her children come down with malaria.
I have never been through a situation like this in my life. All of them got the disease in a matter of days. I lost one girl eventually. I'm afraid of losing the rest.
Alawi's children are at home because the hospitals are all full. Neighborhood clinics and hospitals have been overwhelmed.
Recently, we've been seeing quite severe cases of malaria. The facilities are overstretched, so probably we have to refer them to other facilities after resuscitating and stabilizing the patients.
Authorities don't even know how many have died during the current crisis, but residents speak of hundreds of deaths across Kano State. Malaria is responsible for the majority of hospital admissions and 40% of infant deaths in Nigeria. At the heart of the problem is sanitation and access to medical care.
This is what health workers say makes it difficult to contain the current malaria outbreak. Open sewers and blocked drains. They're ideal for mosquitoes to breed, and they're all over Kano, especially in the old city.
It's late evening in Kano City. Women and children who couldn't access public clinics besiege local pharmacies, desperate for any help they can get. Those who can't resort to herbal medicines and healers. The state government says it has bought and distributed medicines to hospitals and clinics, but it's not enough. Thousands of victims like this 3-year-old with cerebral malaria and anemia desperately need help. At least she's lucky to get here. Hundreds did not. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Kano, Nigeria.
Thousands of Colombians have marched through the capital of Bogota, calling on the government to save the peace deal with FARC rebels. The deal was narrowly rejected in a referendum earlier this month. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampietti reports from Bogota.
Flowers to commemorate the millions of victims Colombia's war left behind. A massive crowd once again taking the streets of Bogota. Regular citizens, but also representatives of the many minorities that make up this diverse country. Afro-Colombians and indigenous people traveling to the capital to say the peace deal must be saved and implemented now.
We demand that the Colombian government and the opposition end this crisis. We are tired of war. It's been 50 years of bullets and death. We are here to say, we don't want this anymore.
Trusting in our spirit guides, I believe peace will be saved, the negotiations with FARC will be fixed, and a deal will be reached with the ELN. I want to believe we are getting closer, no further away from peace.
Most Colombians have been apathetic through the 4-year-long negotiating process with the FARC, but since a narrow majority rejected the deal in a referendum earlier this month, many are now getting involved in the nation's struggling peace efforts.
You can see for yourself, we are all represented here, and this is the country we want, where we all fit in. This is our dream, and we are asking our politicians to help us become a country able to live in peace.
President Santos has been meeting with the leaders of the no vote on a daily basis, who are requesting changes to the deal with the FARC. Many fear the lack of a viable political solution puts the ceasefire at risk, or that the new negotiations could change the spirit of the deal.
The no vote won by lying and scaring people. This accord is beautiful. It's the first time in this country that our deal promises not only to end a war but expand the rights of gays and minorities. The elites let a crack open, and I'm afraid it will never be closed again.
Over 100 demonstrators have set up a campsite and promised to remain here until a solution is found. The rest of the crowd will soon disperse, but they say they'll be back soon to continue fighting for peace. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogota.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Temperatures will peak at 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are calmly blowing from the east to southeast at 8 to 13 miles per hour. Seas are slight to moderate with heights up to 6 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers are asked to exercise caution. Today will be sunny to partly cloudy with a low chance of showers during the morning. By the afternoon, we can expect a good chance of locally cloudy spells and localized showers. Tonight, fair to partly cloudy with the chance of brief passing showers possible. Sunset this evening will be at 5:51 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:03 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good day.